You're listening to the One Man Show Network. Welcome to the MMA Fight Picks Podcast with your host, Aaron Weinbaum.
Hey everyone, welcome to the MMA Fight Picks Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Weinbaum. We are a little late this week, but that's okay. We're going to pick fights for, well, what would be the biggest event probably of the summer, UFC 251. Taking place on Fight Island, or Yaz Island, or whatever it is. For those of you on the Periscope that want to help me pick fights, say hi, ask a question, whatever, just go ahead and do that. And, I'd be happy to throw you here in on the podcast. Man, just so much going on. First of all, I want to mention that I am sponsored by Hero Soap Company. You can go to herosoapcompany.com, enter the promo code MMAFP for 10% off your purchase. It's all natural soap. I recommend the Peppermint Plus Cool because it is so good. It will make your balls tingle. That's right. First up though, let's get into these fights. And like I said, feel free to join the fun because this first one's Volkan Ozdemir against somebody I've never heard of, Yuri Prochazka. Just a 27-year-old monster, apparently. Gosh, when was the last time he fought even? He just beat C.B. Dalloway back in 2019. You know, C.B. Dalloway, not the biggest guy, used to fight at, middleweight. He's got wins over Fabio Maldonado. That was also 2019. I didn't even know he was still around, but I forgot he did beat King Mohamed Lawal, rather. Brandon Halsey, Jake Hune. It's kind of interesting here, but, you know, none of these guys he beat are really at the peak of their career. But King Mo's kind of a big deal, but I think King Mo, that fight, you know, he wasn't the healthiest guy in the world. So, we'll see. This Ozdemir, like, all of a sudden he's on the comeback trail. Knocked out Ilir Latifi, sent him to heavyweight back in August of last year, and just beat, although it was a split decision, a fighter that I'm very high on, Alexander Rakic. So very, very interesting there. But he's only lost to the tops of the division here in the last few years. You know, Daniel Cormier, Anthony Smith, Dominic Hayes. And I think when you look at these two fighters, there are levels to this game, and Ozdemir certainly fought and beaten higher profile guys. This kid, this is his first foray into the UFC. So I don't see, Yuri winning this fight. I gotta say, put the money on, don't put the money on him. I'm sure the odds aren't there, but, put the money, put your mouth, wherever you want to call it, on Volkan Ozdemir. Next up, Amanda Ribas versus Paige Van Zandt. This is taking place at 125 pounds. So very interesting here. You know, Paige, although she is, a very high profile girl, I think she's wanting to renegotiate her contract. I feel like they may be throwing her to the wolves here with Amanda, who just beat, Rand Marcos, kind of took the hype train out of Mackenzie Dern. She's beaten Emily Whitmire. She hasn't lost since Polyana Viana back in 2015. So what does that tell you? And let's take a look at Paige. You know, she has fought some competition, but if I'm just looking, if I can be fair, she beat Rachel Ostovich 2019. That's over a year and a half ago, January 2019. But before that, 2 losses in a row. Jessica Rhodes Clark, Michelle Watterson does have a win over Beck Rawlings with that, that can kick or whatever, kick the can, the switch kick. She hasn't really beaten anyone elite, I guess. Certainly not in the strawweight division. Felice Herrig, I guess so. But gosh, at flyweight, Rachel Ostovich, she's there, but she's not like top 5. And Ribas, I think, has all the skills to beat her. And, I would think that she is going to do that. So I got Amanda Ribas here. This is a great rematch here. Jessica Andrade, Rose Namajunas. Rose was piecing her up until she got dumped on her head. And I said that last week on the podcast, but, Andrade's last loss, of course, getting starched by, Weili Zhang. that was a fight, she didn't have to take. She took in China not too long after the Namajunas fight. But for that, her last loss was 2017, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and that was for, the flyweight championship, Rose Namajunas. So let's take a look here. Gosh, she's got a whole lot of green on her record too. But like I said, that last loss was Andrade. Before that, she beat Joanna champion twice. Beat Michelle Waterson by submission. Did lose to Carolina Kowalkiewicz, but that was way back in 2016. Rose not the most frequent of fighters, but everyone is leaning Rose in this fight, except for me. And let me tell you why. Rose has a bit of a mental block when it comes to certain things. So now she's had people in her family, affected by COVID. Here she is traveling to this island, all these precautions, a quarantine. And I don't know mentally how she's going to be in this fight. And I hope I'm wrong. Technically she can do everything better than Andrade as long as she doesn't get caught and slammed, I guess. But I think Andrade repeats, and it's mostly not because she's a better fighter. It's because of all the conditions leading up to this fight, including, what's going on at Yas Island. So very good. Now this one's killing me. Petr Yan, Jose Aldo for the bantamweight, the vacant bantamweight belt. Henry Cejudo, of course, vacating that belt. I mean, let's take a look at Petr Yan first. Gosh, hasn't lost since 2016. Magomedov did beat him eventually again in 2017. But let's just take a look at his UFC body of work here. John Dodson. And don't forget, that was a split decision. So, hats off to John Dodson there. Jimmy Rivera, Uriah Faber. Okay, so not really gone against the tops of the tops in the UFC. So I find that quite interesting here. Yeah. So he hasn't really, Dodson's there, but, he's not going to be fighting for a bantamweight title anytime soon. And then you got Aldo, who fights nobody but the best. Now, he did lose his last fight, which makes this interesting, that Moraes wouldn't have got the shot, but he lost against Moraes. It was a very close decision, a split decision. I'm not educated enough to say that Aldo won that fight and he got robbed, but he got robbed, maybe. He lost to Alexander Volkanovski. This was his last fight at heavyweight, but he hung in there with him all 3 rounds. For that, he kind of stopped the hype trains of Renato Moicano, Jeremy Stevens, and loses twice to Max Holloway. So the guy fights killers. And there's rumors that, well, it's not rumors, it's true, that him and Petr Yan trained together. And that's very interesting in and of itself. But, I don't know how run down Jose gets trying to cut down to 135 pounds. This will only be the second time he's done it. We got some travel, there as well. And this is a guy that used to have trouble making weight at 145 pounds. And now here we are going to Yas Island, doing all the things you got to do there and cutting weight. So we'll see, I have the right to change my mind if the weight cut doesn't go well. But I think Aldo maybe for the upset here. And I sure hope we see some leg kicks from Aldo. So let me know what you think if you're on Periscope as well. Say hi, whatever, because I see lots of looky-loos, and I hope my comments aren't broken, but I have a feeling they may be. Okay, next up, another rematch. Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway. This is another one, too. I thought Volkanovski did enough to win. Other people said they didn't. But Max really looked good in those later rounds. But it was kind of too little too late. So we'll see. We'll see what goes on with Max and his weight cut too. All this travel, I think, and the heat and all the conditions that go with going to Yas Island or Fight Island or whatever you want to call it, Abu Dhabi. This is the first Fight Island event, and we're going to see how it affects guys. But I mean, gosh, who has Max lost to except for the best in the world? Gosh, he lost, of course, to Dustin Poirier. gosh, who did he lose to before that? It's been years. I think it was Conor McGregor. And I think I'm right? Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was Conor. And you know when that fight was? 2013. So wins all the way up to Dustin Poirier, and that was 155 pounds. But I didn't like that. I thought just Max I don't think he built himself up to fight at 155 pounds, if that makes sense. I think he just cut less weight. He looked kind of like a doughier version of himself. I know he balloons up in between fights, and sometimes 145 is not the easiest, but, I don't know. I mean, I would like to have seen him like at a true 155 pounds, instead of just losing a bunch of fat from eating the wrong stuff, before I would have seen that Poirier fight. And we'll see, but, Volkanovski, I mean, he did beat Jose Aldo, Chad Mendes, Darren Elkins, Jeremy Kennedy, but the body of work's not there. But, I like Max in this rematch. If somehow Max doesn't pull it off, I'd like to see him at 155 pounds, like a real 155 pounds, not the cut less weight version of it, like to bulk up a little bit. And, cause Dustin Poirier is a big guy, and I don't know how he ever got down to 145 pounds. And, he looks big for 155 pounds. So quite frankly, I think Max, I'm going to go with Max. Okay. This next one, the main event, the welterweight championship of the world, Street Jesus, Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman. Number one, you talk about the right place, right time. Gilbert Burns getting COVID-19. Masvidal, he's wherever he is, ready to go. There's rumors of him not training, but, you haven't seen him fight a heavy grappling type person. You can maybe say Diaz, but he doesn't try to grapple. He's good at grappling, but he doesn't try to grapple you too much. But that's one of those things where I don't think Diaz is quite a welterweight, and I said that about Masvidal too, and he's not the biggest welterweight, but he has proven he is, just by knocking out Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Darren Till. And, he didn't beat Thompson. I take that back, but, I don't know. Let me check here. I may have my facts. This is why I fact check myself sometimes, but yeah, he lost to Stephen Thompson and Damian Maia. And, Damian, that's a very grappling heavy guy, as is Usman. And is this his Achilles heel? And, what if he hasn't been training? I don't know. But you have Charles Roast. I just recently heard of my friend Adam Hunter, the MMA Roasted podcast, say, yeah, he's been training. And he looks good. He could be trolling us, too. He's got to lose 20 pounds in a few days. That's not totally uncommon. But he could be trolling us. We don't know what he weighs. We don't know what he looks like. We haven't seen him with his shirt off. We haven't seen training sessions or any of that. But, golly, Usman against probably the true second best person in the welterweight division right now, Colby Covington. It came down to the wire. Usman kind of out Colby'd him at the end there and kind of cracked him good. Did I agree with that stoppage? I don't know. It's neither here nor there, but he made Tyron Woodley look bad. Dos Anjos look bad. Damian Maia look bad. Emil Meek look bad. I mean, it goes down, and down, and down, and down, and down. And Leon Edwards, don't forget, he beat him way back when. This is 2015. And Leon, very much considered to be a title contender in there somewhere as well. But, he was training against a more striker, a grappling heavy, more dynamic Gilbert Burns. Masvidal likes to keep it on the feet. He's not a slouch on the ground, but, Kamaru knew Gilbert Burns a lot better. They trained together. But that being said, I mean, as much as I would love to see this just crazy story of Jorge Masvidal and, end up with the championship win, I don't see it coming. I think Usman does it. And, that's it. Enjoy the fights. They're this Saturday. And, thanks everyone for listening. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends, share it, whatever. If you're on Twitter, retweet this, show me some love. And, Until next time, if nobody has any comics, going once, going twice, gone. I'm going to end this. And until next time, shalom.
Please remember to support the podcast by visiting the affiliate links on AaronSaysWhat.com.